I am your host, Justin Yantz, and this is episode 77, and this is The Wrestling Show. And I'm going to talk about the goings on in wrestling. I'm going to talk about AEW, WWE, and we'll end with a Raw moment. So stay tuned. So Peacock still hasn't really uploaded the good stuff of the WWE Network. And I've got to be honest with you, that's very frustrating to me. What's taking so long? Why are they refusing to put more out? They're going to put more wrestling superstars up there? Put the old stuff up there. And I've got to be honest with you, I absolutely hate the clunky way that Peacock is there. Now, I talked about this last week, but I don't like the fact that I have to search by season. I've given them, a week again, and I'm seeing no improvement. And then I hear that they're going to review everything. The WWE and NBC are going to review everything. That doesn't sound like we're going to put things up. It sounds like we're going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb and hope that we can salvage something together. It's very frustrating for fans to have this deal through and they don't really have anything ready. And it just makes me more angry. Now, I wrote a petition. Some other people have written petitions. I'm trying to think of different ideas, but this is... If they think that we're just going to all just turn our back and go, well, this is okay. This is the new world. No, doesn't work like that. Censorship is censorship, and I will fight it every way I can. And I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to fight it. I have some ways, but you know what? We got to get more into it. Because this is just ridiculous. I can't believe, it's almost 2 weeks in and they still have barely put anything up. We had more stuff up when the WWE Network launched in 2014, and that felt bare bones. I mean, what is taking so long? Why can they not just put this stuff up? I mean, do they not have a full team? Can they not do this right? So upsetting to me. I don't know what to say. Also, let's not forget one of the big things that has happened. WWE Peacock is not on Fire Stick. You can't get Peacock on Fire Stick, which is frustrating to me as a fan. I can't really watch it, so I have to get a Roku, or I have to get a TV that will have Peacock. I'm not watching it from a tablet. I'm just so frustrated right now because this is such a lame way to do a launch of something. You got WWE and you have produced it in the worst way possible. Now let's talk about some good things. But this is not over. This is not over. If they think they're going to censor everything, they're just going to get away with it. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you that right now. Now, another thing happened. We found out, today, Friday, that Chris Jericho will be on the Broken Skull sessions on the WWE Network on WWE's Peacock. The significance of that is Chris Jericho is not a contracted WWE wrestler anymore. He's a stalwart. He's a mainstay in AEW. So an AEW guy is going to be on WWE's programming. That's unheard of. Now, this came by because Chris Jericho was watching the Taker, the second interview, and he texted Austin and was like, I'd like to do that. Austin texted Vince and said, is that okay? Vince said, okay. So he texted him again, and he said that it was okay. I can't believe this is going to happen. I mean, there's no way they can pretend like that elephant is in the room, and no matter what, this is publicity for AEW. It's amazing. You never thought you would see that, and this is actually happening. So I'm intrigued to see what they do on in this interview. I'm really intrigued. Um, Another thing that has happened is the IWGP title and the Intercontinental IWGP title have merged, and now we have the new IWGP title. Now, I don't really like this title. It looks like the title that Scott Norton wore in 1998 when he was in the NWO. It doesn't carry the same prestige as the IWGP heavyweight title. So look, because it had that lineage and that thing. It feels like they're just changing it to change it. There's no real rhyme or reason why we're doing this, and I don't know what the point is. Why are we doing this? Could somebody please tell me why we're doing that? Do we really need another a title belt change? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I don't get it. I don't get some of these decisions that are being made. They just seem like they're coming out of nowhere, and I just don't get it. I don't get it. I really just don't get it. But yeah, the other thing that is shaping up is WrestleMania 37. We have the two nights. April 10th is supposedly going to be headlined by Drew McIntyre and Lashley. And the second night, my birthday, will be headlined by Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns versus Edge. And I'm very excited about that night. Not so much the first night, but the second night I'm pretty intrigued to see where they go. It should be an interesting case, but I got to be honest with you. I'm very excited to see this this Broken Skull session with Chris Jericho. I didn't see that happening, but yeah, I mean that's about all that's going on right now in the world of professional wrestling. What else could be happening? AEW is off to the races. Oh, I now remember exactly. The good news, and this is really good news, NXT is moving to Tuesday. It's official. They made the announcement. Thank you. I can actually watch the show now because it's not a part of this Wednesday Night Wars thing. So it'll be on Tuesday. Then we'll have, and then Wednesday I'll have that. So you'll have professional wrestling on every night of the week. So Raw on Monday, Tuesday you'll have NXT, Wednesday you'll have AEW, Thursday you'll have Impact if you like that, Friday you'll have SmackDown, and Saturday and Sunday, you got the pay-per-views. So that's good. That is a good thing that's happening. NXT is moving. I can actually enjoy this show. And NXT's TakeOver is shaping up, and it looks pretty good. I'm excited. They're going to do the first night on Wednesday, and then the next night on Thursday will be the second night. And I think that's going to be headlined by Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor, which I'm expecting Karrion Kross to lose because I think Karrion Kross is going to the main roster. But we shall see. We shall see. Maybe he beats Finn Balor and they give him a run with the NXT title before bringing him up. But, I think he's on the older side, so they might want to just bring him up now. So that's all we have for wrestling talk today. So let's talk about AEW, and we'll talk about that when we come back. So I thought AEW this week was really good. I was thoroughly impressed. I thought this would be an okay show, but this turned out to be a really good show. So let's start off with one of the first thing that happened on the show. was Christian Cage versus Kazarian. They had a nice match. Christian worked more of a WWE style, but as you see with AEW, they allow you to work whatever style you want, because whatever style you're good at is what is going to produce the best match. So they don't do what NXT and WWE do, which says you got to run our playbook, you got to learn our things. No, the playbook is whatever works, works. That's the playbook. That's the way it should be. And what AEW is doing works. And Christian had a great match with Kazarian. He ended up beating Kazarian. He had a little bit of ring rust, but I think in a couple of matches he's going to be he'll be back to normal, and I think he'll get some more wins, because in AEW you got to get wins to actually get a championship title match. And I think that's where we'll unless they're going to do another match with Moxley and Omega, which I think is just overkill. I really don't want to see that again. I would like to see Omega versus Christian. I think that would be a cool thing. Some people will be against it, but I think it'll be a really good match. Let's talk about the other thing. They had the exhibition match, Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. They had a nice little match, and at the end, QT Marshall turned heel, and a bunch of guys that Cody trained came in, and they formed a new faction. So now we've got like the evil Rhodes versus the good Rhodes family thing. And they, did color. I got to be honest, they got to be careful with this using blood all the time, because there were like 3 segments with blood in them. Not every match needs blood. Not every angle needs blood. But I guess if they really want to get this segment over, that's good. I just feel like we have too many factions, but I like these guys. I think let's see what they've got. So this was a good angle. It's a good angle. I just don't know if QT Marshall can lead a heel faction, but we will see. A lot of people didn't think Brody Lee had it, and look what he did. He had an amazing run. Then we had the Pinnacle. They were going to get their gifts, and he opens the door, and who's standing there but the Inner Circle with like bats in hand, and it was so funny. He sees them and he shuts the door like they're not gonna, like, let's get out of here. And then he runs right into Jake Hager, and they had a huge brawl, and the Inner Circle kicked out the Pinnacle and said, "This is our locker room." Chris Jericho threw MJF through like a glass thing, and then he poured the bubbly on him. It was a great angle, great way to bring back Inner Circle. They were unadvertised. They weren't advertised, but I thought this was a good time to bring them back. And instead of doing it in the ring, they did it backstage, which made it cooler, and it gave it this realistic vibe. And usually you never see that in WWE, an angle backstage like that. They always do it in the ring, and the way they did that was perfect. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And then the other thing I really liked on the show is the Omega versus the Good Brothers versus the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. They had a fantastic match, which ended with Omega getting a one-winged angel. 1, 2, 3. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm liking the Omega and Good Brothers, which is going to lead to probably the Good Brothers and Young Bucks. It was Moxley and the Young Bucks came out, and they kind of stared him down. So it looks like it's going to be Omega and the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks and Moxley. I don't know if that's a pay-per-view match. That feels more like a TV match, but it might be a pay-per-view match. Who knows? I got to be honest with you. I think the football stadium stampede. I think they're going to bring that back, and they'll probably do the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle there, which is I think a cool way to do it. Now let's talk about the other thing that I really liked on this show. Arcade Anarchy. And we got Orange Cassidy coming out to the Pixies. Where Is My Mind? They paid for the rights. So cool. So awesome to have a guy who actually understands that by paying for the rights of songs, it makes the stars look better. It made Orange Cassidy look so much like a bigger star now that he's got that song. It just gave him such an aura. I loved it. I thought that was so cool, and it was worth the wait. And I didn't want to spoil it last week, but that's what it was. The Pixies, "Where Is My Mind," which is just awesome. And if you've ever seen the movie Fight Club, it's in that movie. It's in tons of movies. It's a great song. So perfect for this character. "Where Is My Mind?" Then we had Kip Sabian and Miro come out. And Miro was like a monster. He was like Lesnar. He just threw people around. He was hard hitting. This is the way Miro needs to be presented. He was a beast. And then we had the return of Chris Statlander, because Penelope Ford got involved, and all of a sudden, out of one of the games, pops out Chris Statlander, and she puts Penelope Ford through a table. Awesome thing. Then we see a van come by. I'm taking a little of this out of sequence. A lot more things happen, but I'm not going to give you a play-by-play of this. I'm going to give you my favorite moments. And we see a van, and it's Sue and Trent. He's back. So awesome. Although the best friends are all back together, and Miro, they subdued him. They didn't pin him, and Chuck Taylor did the power slam off the stage onto two tables and pinned Kip Sabian. This is probably going to lead to Miro breaking up with Kip Sabian, which is time. He doesn't need to be the best man anymore. He needs to be the man, and he needs to go out there. I wouldn't say use the man, because that's Becky Lynch's thing, but something similar to that. He is the guy or something like that. But the way he was booked was perfect. This was great. I thought this was a great show. Home run all around. The ratings didn't reflect it, but the show didn't really... You didn't know if it was going to be that kind of show. I think the ratings will be up for next week. I don't know if they're going to beat NXT, because NXT's TakeOver is next week, and that's going to be a big show. But yeah, this was good stuff. Great stuff from AEW. Props to his name. Just, this is what happens, folks. Sometimes your names just go right out your head when you're doing all this. The owner of AEW, Tony Khan. Finally remembered. Tony Khan, thank you so much for getting those rights, the rights to the Pixies. Awesome. I thought this was a great show. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about WWE. So let's talk about WWE. So let's start with Raw. Was the big story was the Hurt Business broke up. Absolutely no point in breaking them up, but they did. This is WWE. This is what we do. One of the funniest moments was they did a moment where Matt Riddle was backstage with Asuka, and he says, I forgot what I was saying, and he just walked off. And Asuka had this bewildered look on their face. And apparently Vince and Bruce thought it was Bruce Pritchard, thought this was so funny that they just left it in. In some ways it was funny, but it continues to make Matt Riddle's character just look like a goof. I'm sorry. McMahon and Strowman, that will be in a cage. They continued the train sounds, which I cannot believe we're adding train sounds to a guy's move, but that's where we're at. That's going to get so booed at WrestleMania with real fans. Fans are not going to like that. The Dirt Sheet, they had Miz and Morrison do this thing with Bad Bunny and make fun of his music video. It was dumb. It was boring. I could care less about this feud. I'm not really going to talk about it. Lashley beat Sheldon. So the Hurt Business is broken up, although the Hurt Business still exists because it's MVP. I don't know if they're going to repopulate it, but it's just... There was no reason to break them up. Absolutely no reason. This was the time to let them fly and be the evolution that they can be, instead of, we've been doing it for a while, let's break them up. Asuka versus Rhea Ridley. That is official. That is the match at WrestleMania. I expect that's the show where Asuka drops the title to Rhea Ripley. If not, I don't know what they're thinking. Drew defeated Ricochet and Ali. He had a moment before this, a little early in the show, where he challenged people in the locker room. He was mad that nobody was fighting him. And he said no one should fight him. It was kind of confusing, but Drew beat Ricochet and he beat Mustafa Ali, who I guess retribution is over. What a failed experiment. And the show ended with Baron Corbin attacking Drew. So a lot of people thought that Drew was going to be in the Hurt business. Apparently he's not. But next week on Raw, it's going to be Corbin versus Drew. I could care less. I can't stand the King Corbin character. I just find Corbin so boring. I know he works hard and he does a really good job, and this is no knock on him as a person. I'm sure he's a nice person, but I just don't like his character, and I get bored. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not heel heat where I want to see him get beat up. It's heel heat that I don't care. I feel apathetic to him, and I feel bad because I think he has something, but they just use him so poorly. SmackDown was a much better show. It started the show off with Edge doing a promo saying why he is that, and he said the rated R superstar is back, and he says the ultimate opportunity, he's going to do everything he can to win. Good stuff. Apollo Crews challenged Big E to a Nigerian drum fight, which sounds ridiculous and dumb, but that's where they're going. Sami Zayn and Logan Paul had their moment. Sami showed a trailer of his movie, which was funny. It just doesn't make any sense. And then ended with Kevin Owens beating up Sami Zayn and saying, "Look, if you think I'm gonna beat some sense into him." It kind of felt like Scott Hall versus Kevin Nash at Halloween Havoc 1998 in some ways. The build to this. Except for he's not a drinker and it's not a real issue like that. But I thought it was funny stuff. And then the main event was Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso. Edge did commentary, and then Roman Reigns came out, and he just sat in a chair at the top of the ramp. Really good match. Daniel Bryan is so amazing. And he ended up taking a chain, and he started hitting his neck. And then he tapped him out with the yes lock. Great match. Then he gets up and he did the running knee to Edge, and then he bashed Edge's head into the not the turnbuckle, but the steel ring post like 3 times, and he did it in such a cool way. Made him look so cool. And then he went and he Roman tried to throw the chair at him. He ducked it. And then he hit him with the running knee, and he put him back into, and then he put him in the yes lock. So Daniel Bryan gets to stand tall on this SmackDown. Great way to make him. He looked like a killer. He looks like a guy that can do something. Really good stuff. I liked this. I thought this was a good SmackDown. There's a lot of stuff that he didn't like, but this was good. Logan Paul apparently will probably, I don't know if he's involved in WrestleMania, but, he came off okay. He's a big star, really good star on YouTube, and, he's shown that he can promote fights, so I can't, say anything bad about it. So that was good. Now let's talk about the Raw moment, and we will talk about that when we come back. Okay, so let's talk about my Raw moment for this week. And the Raw moment I picked is one of my favorite moments. And we are talking about April 2nd, 2012. The night before, John Cena had been defeated by The Rock in Miami, Florida. And now we are in Raw the night after WrestleMania, and this is Miami. This is also the show where Daniel Bryan really started to become a babyface and become the huge star he would go on to become. But something else happens here. And this is one of my favorite moments of all time. And I had been waiting for this moment, and we knew that this guy was possibly going to come in. And we heard rumblings of him. So, John Cena's in there. He's going to call out The Rock. He wants to thank him. Wait a minute. Fans are going, not sure. We hear Lesnar's music hit. And the whole place explodes. It's one of the biggest pops ever. It's so cool. And, they wait a minute. You're like, is he actually coming out? And then he saunters out to the stage, and there he is. Brock Lesnar has come back to the WWE. It was a huge moment. Just amazing. I remember screaming so loud, I lost my voice. I was so happy. I never wanted Lesnar to leave. And he's finally back. And it was so great to see him come back out there and just be the star that he was. And he comes out and he says, "Shake my hand, Cena." And then he picks him up for the F5 Cena. And then he kicks his hat, which is the cool little moments that Lesnar's so good at. Those little things, like kicking his green hat out of the ring. Lesnar came off like such a beast here. As Michael Cole said, the anomaly is back, which makes no sense, but that's what the line they gave him. And they didn't even call him the UFC champion because they were scared to say that back then. But this is such an amazing moment. And I heard rumblings that he was possibly going to be there. Some people thought he was going to show up at the end of WrestleMania. But, we knew he was there in Miami. The question was, is he coming out? And he ends up coming out, and it's so huge. It's such an amazing... I remember being so excited. I was just on the floor, so happy. Finally, the guy who's going to destroy Cena has come. The guy that's going to save us from this guy who's become mediocrity. Because, in some ways, I don't think Cena gets the run he gets if Lesnar doesn't leave. He can say all he wants, he can outwork him, but he ain't going to... If Lesnar's there, Lesnar's calling the shots. Lesnar calls his own shots. He's a real man. That's what we like about him. Some people don't like him because he doesn't love wrestling 24/7. I like him. He does things his way. And that's what you want in a real star. To do things on their terms. But when that music hits, it explodes. I have different tracks from people that have filmed it who were live in the building. Because it's such an amazing pop. Such a great pop of excitement. And then you hear it crescendo as soon as he comes out. Just one of my favorite moments after a great WrestleMania. I thought that was a pretty good WrestleMania. I thought John Cena and The Rock kind of under-delivered in some ways, but they gave us the win with Rock, so I can't really complain. But so Lesnar comes back, and it's just an amazing pop. The presence he has. He just comes off like such a beast, such an animal. Perfect character. And Heyman wasn't even with them yet because Heyman, wasn't back. Who knows? I still think Lesnar might be coming back at WrestleMania. I think they're going to want him back for WrestleMania or the night after WrestleMania to start the build to whatever he's going to do. Probably Roman Reigns. But wow. Just an amazing moment. I'm just thrilled to see that moment. I was waiting for it, and it finally happened. It was one of the best moments. And I think that's about it. I want to say thank you for listening, and you can always reach me at my handle at Justin Yance. And I will see you next time on the DMF